Last month, we had the pleasure of touring a museum in Pittsburgh, which has a display devoted to the history of racing in western Pennsylvania. Jan has more.
I'm with Don Gamble of Rapid On Racing in the Heinz History Center, the auto racing section. Don, this is the champs section. The champions, I assume, only having to do with Pennsylvania?
The Pittsburgh Racing Association was formed in 1954. Prior to that, in the early 50s, it was kind of scattered. They were never sure if the promoter was going to pay them. It just needed to be organized. So Ed Witzberger formed this association in 1954, and it lists the champions up until the track closed. The first champion was Buddy O'Connor, a local fellow from Greenfield. He won it in 54, Dick Linder won it in 55, and then the next 10 years in a row, Herb Scott won, which is unprecedented. It would be the equivalent of winning 10 Super Bowls 10 years in a row. And Herb is featured in this one picture right here, one of the winningest drivers ever. He had 520 feature wins. Some of the other pictures highlight famous drivers from the western Pennsylvania area. Dick Linder was a champion in 55. His brother won one of the biggest races, the Tri-State Championship in 1959. Bob Waring wasn't real involved in the Pittsburgh Racing Association, but he did accumulate 620 victories on local dirt tracks throughout Pennsylvania, Ohio, and West Virginia. And then on the far end here is Blackie Watt, and this was his most famous car, was his modified, but between this and the late models, they estimate somewhere between 600 and 1,000 victories. He didn't keep track, but anytime you went and saw his car, the question was, who's going to finish second?
Also a part of the champ section is this display with trophies, memoirs, and Blackie's jacket.
Yeah, Blackie Watt was a big part of putting this together, made a lot of contributions, and this was a popular type of jacket that they wore in the 50s and 60s. Wynn's Friction Proofing was a big sponsor of a lot of the racing. The sprint car is Ed Lynch's, a replica of the car that he drove when he won the World of Outlaws race at Lernerville Speedway. For a local driver to win that race is very prestigious. When Herb Scott won his 500th feature at Lernerville in 1975, that was the trophy that he was presented for that victory. And then to my right here is the one that Bob Waring got at Pittsburgh's Pennsylvania Motor Speedway when he won number 600 and 601. That's a lot of victories. This is an old trophy from Monduke that belonged to Buddy O'Connor. Buddy was a champion in 1966 in the number 38 car. And as a side note, his nephew, Bob O'Connor, was the mayor of Pittsburgh prior to his death.
Don, tell us about this section which has to do with the Pittsburgh Vintage Grand Prix.
It started 31 years ago, and the Allegheny Valley School and the Autism Society benefit financially from it. The group has raised millions of dollars for autism. The thing runs approximately a week. It's every year in July, and just a wonderful group of people. They bring in these vintage cars and they race them in Shenley Park. And the highlight, in addition to all the other activities, is watching these cars raced through the winding roads of Shenley Park, and it draws thousands and thousands of fans for a very good cause.
What can you tell us about some of the display items?
Well, this is the winning cup that's presented each year. Now they run in different divisions. They don't put them all together, so they're classified according to the type of car that they race. And these cars are very valuable. I mean, could be $1 million. So it's more of an exhibition than a fender banging wheel-to-wheel race. But a lot of people come into town for it. You know, the benefit to the community, I mean, the restaurants, the hotels, everything in Pittsburgh benefits from it, but mainly the Autism Society. They're the big winner.
Now, near the Pittsburgh Vintage Grand Prix display is the Children's Educational Center. I see there's something here that you donated.
It's kind of nice, the different treads. Like here's a running shoe, a bicycle tread, a horseshoe, and a dirt track, section of a dirt track tire. What's nice, when young kids come in here, it gives them an opportunity to experiment and look at some of the things that are involved in racing. There's a timing device here if they want to see how drag racing is. Then there's 3 different kinds of headgear over here where they try to determine what it is, and then when they flip up that little thing that says answer, it tells them if they're right. And then it shows over here some of the other different kinds of racing. And then here's a little wheel that spins around with horses, running, race cars, and boats. And for the kids, it's very enjoyable, and they really get a kick out of it.
Well, we have one more segment in this series that we're going to air next week, so be sure to tune in.
Yeah, it's been fun taking a tour of that display. Now, coming up next here on Pit Pass, we go back to Motordrome Speedway, and we will have some exciting finishes from Friday evening. Keep it here.
Don't you wish you could just escape sometimes? Now, get away with the Seagram's Escape Spa Day Getaway. One lucky winner and a guest will get the ultimate spa treatment from the spa at Kenley and Belfont. Just be 21 or older and register at these Seagram's Escapes retailers: Jack's Six Pack, State College; Denny's Beer Barrel Pub, Clearfield; Big Valley Beverage, Reedsville; Strickler's Beer and Ice, Huntington; and Boulevard Takeout, Lewistown. Color your summer with the Seagram's Escape Spa Day Getaway.